All right, let's jump right in. Along the heavily fortified India-Pakistan border, something fundamental is changing, and it's not about more tanks or faster jets. No, this is about a swarm of smaller, smarter threats that are totally rewriting the rules of war from the sky down. And really, this all boils down to one critical question, doesn't it? How in the world do you defend yourself against an enemy that's tiny, fast, and pretty much invisible to the very systems designed to protect you? That is the puzzle we're going to unpack today. Now, this isn't some future sci-fi scenario. The analysis we're looking at shows what it calls a marked escalation in the use of unmanned aerial vehicles, UAVs, and a specific type of weapon called a loitering munition. We're not just talking a small increase here. This is a serious tactical shift in how conflict is being fought right now. So, what does this new strategy actually look like on the ground? Well, the analysis shows that India's use of drones has gone way beyond just simple reconnaissance. This is a whole new playbook, and it's much more aggressive and integrated. Okay, so a key term you've got to understand here is loitering munition. The easiest way to think about it is like a smart bomb with wings. You'll often hear it called a kamikaze drone because it can literally circle over a battlefield, just waiting and watching, before it finds a target and dives right into it. This is an absolute game changer because it combines surveillance with an immediate strike, all in one cheap package. The analysis breaks this new playbook into three big trends. First up, you've got persistent ISR. That stands for intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance. Basically, it means having drones overhead, watching everything all the time. Second, precision strikes, using those kamikaze drones we just talked about. And third, something called tactical harassment, which is where they use smaller, off-the-shelf quadcopters just to mess with and demoralize troops on the front lines. And the strategic advantage here is just huge. You see, this playbook lets a military poke at enemy defenses, figure out exactly where their air defense systems are, and hit valuable targets, all without putting a single pilot at risk or doing something so big it starts an all-out war. It's a really powerful way to apply pressure right below that traditional boiling point of conflict. Okay, so that's the playbook. But why is it so darn effective? What makes this new threat so tough to counter? Well, that brings us to the 6 key challenges that the analysis lays out. The first, and maybe the most fundamental problem, is just seeing these things coming. The source material calls this detection gaps. Now here's what's so fascinating about the physics of this. Your standard big air defense radar, it's built to spot things like fighter jets, big, metallic, and moving fast. But these small drones, they're often made of plastic or composites, and they fly low and slow. To that giant radar system, a drone might look like a bird, or even worse, it might not show up at all. This creates massive blind spots in your defenses. The second challenge is all about what happens when these drones inevitably slip through those gaps, and they don't just fly around randomly. They go after very specific, very important targets, what the military calls critical nodes. Think command centers, radar stations, ammo dumps. A single, well-placed kamikaze drone could potentially paralyze a huge part of an army's ability to fight. Challenge number 3 brings this whole threat right down to the individual soldier. This isn't just some abstract strategic problem. It's deeply personal and terrifying. The analysis points out the incredible psychological strain from just the constant buzzing of a quadcopter overhead. You can't move, you can't gather, you can't do anything without being watched. It restricts your every move and creates this constant nerve-wracking pressure. All right, the final 3 challenges are a bit more systemic. You can really lump them together because they point to deeper problems in technology, in industry, and in military training that make this whole drone threat so much harder to deal with. So the takeaway here is that this is a problem with a lot of layers. First off, electronic warfare. The existing jammers just aren't good enough to block the advanced encrypted signals these new drones use. Second, there's a major industrial imbalance. It's way cheaper and easier to mass-produce simple drones than it is to build the expensive tech to shoot them down. And finally, on the most practical level, the day-to-day training and procedures for how troops should even operate when the sky is full of drones, they're still being figured out. So, after laying out this really complex web of challenges, the analysis pivots. It goes from the problem to the solution, and it proposes what it calls a response ladder, basically a series of steps you can climb to build a solid defense. And here's the ladder. You can see how each step is designed to directly fix one of the problems we just talked about. How do you fix the detection gap? Well, you deploy new sensors built for small targets. How do you protect your bases? You harden them, you camouflage them, you use decoys. How do you help the troops on the ground? You give them lightweight anti-drone guns. You see the pattern, right? Upgrade your jammers, build your own domestic drone industry, and finally, write the new rulebook and train everybody on how to fight in this new reality. This slide really sums up the whole logic perfectly. It's a direct one-to-one response. You've got undetectable drones? The answer is a new sensor grid. They're hitting your bases with precision strikes? You harden and disperse those bases. You're worried about getting overwhelmed by a drone swarm? The answer is advanced electronic jammers. It's a complete, layered defense designed to counter this threat at every single level. As we start to wrap this up, if there is one single thing you take away from this analysis, it has to be this. What we are watching unfold is not a temporary tactic. It's not a passing trend. This is a permanent, fundamental shift in how modern war is fought. And that's exactly why this matters to everyone, no matter where you live. The tough lessons being learned on this one border are popping up everywhere. The rise of cheap, easy-to-get, and deadly effective drones is a global thing. It's transforming conflicts from Ukraine to the Middle East and way beyond. Which leaves us with one final and kind of chilling question to think about. Everything we've discussed today involves drones being flown by a person somewhere. But the next step, as we all know, is autonomy. So when the battlefields of tomorrow are filled with intelligent drone swarms making their own decisions at the speed of a microchip, what does the front line of the future even look like?